If I can have members of council to please take your seats. Members of council. Councillor Cheng, please. I would call this meeting to order. The clerk has advised that we do have quorum. Members of council, please rise if you're able for the National Anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all of us command. Quand on procès porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Dans l'histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Au Canada, Kichigwanash, Nani Bueda Miguechewendanda. Nani Bueda Miguechewendanda.
Please remain standing and join me in observing a moment of silence in memory of Derek Brown, Stevie Cameron, Gail Christie, Carol Conde, Lena Hockey, Ine Lofsky, Michael Marks, Jeff Odo, and Hudson Sullivan. Thank you. I would just like to take a few moments. Today we come together to honor or remember Gail Christie, a pioneering leader and one of the first female mayors of the city of York. Gail broke through gender barriers during the transformative era in Canadian society. Her path was challenging, often marred by judgments based on appearance rather than the substance of her policies, but she remained undeterred. Gail was widely recognized as a strong and graceful woman who devoted her life to advocating for the everyday person. She was always ready to lend a hand to those in need, and her compassion was boundless. Deeply committed to her community, Gail inspired everyone she encountered to make a positive impact on those around them. Her legacy endures in the life she touched and the city she cherished. Though we will miss her greatly, her memory will forever remain with us. And I also want to acknowledge Dee Dee, that's in the audience. Gail Christie was her first boss. She worked for Gail Christie many, many years ago. Welcome, Dee Dee. And as I mentioned, Gail Christie was the first female mayor of the city of York. I was the second and the last mayor of the city of York. So my condolence goes out to her family. And thank you, Dee Dee, for being here. I would like to take a moment on behalf of council to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to deepening our own understanding of Indigenous peoples and their cultures. It is a moment to reflect on the importance of this land, which we each call home. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaties signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. For the benefit of those who are connected to the internet, the City Clerk has posted all of the agenda materials for today's meeting at Toronto.ca/council. This meeting is being held as a hybrid meeting and is being streamed live on YouTube. I'd like to welcome the public who are with us here today and who are watching the meeting online. Members, we do have a presentation this morning to recognize Matthew Pegg, Fire Chief and General Manager, Toronto Fire Services, on his retirement from the City of Toronto. I would like to call upon Mayor Chow to give the presentation.
Good morning. Chief Matthew Pegg is retiring. From public service after 11 years in the Toronto Fire Services, 8 of which he served as the fire chief and general manager. He said he's grateful to retire healthy with lots of energy, and you will see that in a moment. Chief Pegg's firefighting career spanned 32 years, starting in Georgina, Ontario, before taking on progressively challenging roles in Ajax, Brampton, and Toronto Fire Services. Then, of course, becoming Toronto's fire chief. He started as a volunteer firefighter and worked his way up the ranks, becoming a deputy fire chief in 2001. In his spare time, I don't know where he can find it, but he's also a licensed mechanic and experienced pilot. He sometimes described himself as a farm kid from Keswick. Far away from that, but who is in all of everything his amazing team at Toronto Fire Service do in the streets of Toronto every day. Now, his dedication to firefighting in Canada is extraordinary. Chief Pegg was the president of the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs for several years and has been awarded the Executive Fire Chief Officer Professional Designation by the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs. Under his leadership, Toronto Fire Service achieved accredited agency status from the Commission on Fire Accreditation International in 2019, and a second time in 2024. It demonstrating the commitment to continuous quality improvement and delivery of world-class fire protection services that meets the needs of Torontonians. I want you to know, the City of Toronto is the largest city with an accredited fire service in North America. We all live through and benefit from Chief Pegg's leadership as the COVID-19 incident commander for the City of Toronto over 2 years. During those chaotic, difficult times, he led us through the pandemic. And the development and continual operation of one of the most complex incident management system in North American history. This includes leading the longest ever continuous deployment of Toronto's Emergency Operations Center, as well as the development and operation of Toronto's COVID-19 Immunization Task Force. And we all know how successful that was. He also led major emergency responses like the 650 Parliament Street crisis. Some of us remember that very well. And the 2017 Badminton and Racquet Club fire, which was the largest single deployment of resources in the Toronto Fire Services history. Now, he can't do it alone. How does he manage? He approached the labor relations in a way that is just transformative. Together with President James Reed and his colleague at the Toronto Professional Firefighters Association, they've built a productive and collaborative working relationship, which is probably why the association, the President James Reed, Vice President John McClellan, and Michael Smith are all here supporting or celebrating, helping celebrate Chief Pegg's retirement. I'd rather not say it's a celebration. We'll miss you, but we're celebrating your career also. That's a transformative approach. And I witnessed it because at some of the celebration or some of the social activities, I saw how loved Chief Pegg is with all the firefighters in a big banquet hall. It was incredible. I also saw Chief Pegg's when he arrived in the scene of a fire, and I witnessed it during the Island Clubhouse being burned down. The sense of safety, security he brought to the local residents and the restaurant folks that were mourning their loss, but also, the chief's here, the firefighters are here. We're in good hands, and it's extraordinary. I want to say, though, that other than work ethics, Chief Pegg won a lot of awards. Let me list them. He's a recipient of the Heroism and Community Service Medal, the Ontario Fire Service Long Service Medal, and the Canadian Fire Service Service Medal, and the Ontario Medal for Firefighter Bravery. What makes a hero? What makes an extraordinary leader? I think it's courage, bravery, of course, strength, demonstrating incredible work ethic, a commitment to serve above self, and we witnessed that, but also tremendous amount of empathy, because I also saw that. In 2 of the graduations that I attended, Chief Pegg talked about the importance of family support. He also talked about not just physical strength, he also talked about the importance of mental health, that we need to take a holistic approach in supporting each other. And that's the strength, and that what's make a hero and a leader. And he also acknowledged the impact and the sacrifices of families of first responder. Today, Chief Pegg is joined by his wife, Kathleen Coulson, his brother, John Pegg, who is also the Ontario Fire Marshal, and John's wife, Amanda Pegg. They're all here. The Toronto Fire Service staff, the Deputy Fire Chiefs, Paul Fitzgerald, Jim Jessup, and Kevin Hamilton, his assistant, Heather Smith, Program Executive Director, Simon Wells, Melissa Gennaro, etc. I can't believe, and of course, other staff, Police Service, Medical Office of Health, Toronto Paramedic Services. You are very well loved. And together with my colleagues in City Council, it is my pleasure to present Chief Pegg with this commemorative scroll, and thank you for your many decades of service. Join me in thanking Chief Pegg.
I'm still a farm kid from Keswick. Okay, I'm off script already. I've been in this chamber a lot. I've spent a lot of hours in here, and it never quite felt like this, so thank you so much. Mayor Chow, Madam Speaker, City Councillors, City Manager Johnson, Senior Leadership Team, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor called it out. I'm joined today literally by the finest command team in at least the Canadian Fire Service and beyond, and my colleagues from both paramedics and police and my family are here, so to each of you, thank you. Thank you, ma'am, so very much for this recognition. To put it as succinctly as possible, serving as a member of the Toronto Fire Services for the past 11 years, and as the Toronto Fire Chief for the past 8.5 years has been the honour and privilege of a lifetime. There has never been a day when I have not felt a deep sense of pride to wear this uniform and to serve each of you as Fire Chief, as I will until the end of the day on Friday, October 4th. Many people don't realize that the city's fire protection service levels are not set by the province. They're not set by the fire chief. They're not set by the city manager. Rather, they're set by council. In Toronto, our mayor and council have made the decision to establish and maintain fire protection service levels that are the envy of cities around the world. Our residents receive, quite literally, world-class emergency call processing, dispatch performance, as well as emergency response time performance that is also world-class, and lives are being saved as a result. Council has approved proactive public education and fire prevention service levels here that continue to result in fewer fatalities and fewer critical injuries in our city. The City of Toronto continues to be the largest city in North America with an internationally accredited fire service. I am deeply appreciative of the support of both Council and the city's senior leadership team, as this simply isn't possible otherwise. As Council, your commitment to public fire safety in Toronto continues to save lives, and I sincerely thank you for not only supporting the numerous recommendations I've made as your Fire Chief, but for your steadfast support year after year. Words cannot properly explain the deep sense of pride I feel to both lead and serve alongside our incredible Toronto Fire Services team. To each member of this incredible team, I thank you for your unwavering commitment to courage, to compassion, and to service. You are truly world-class. All too often, across North America and beyond, fire service union and management teams work in silos and are often at odds with one another, but not in Toronto. I'm so very proud of the open, honest, direct, and collaborative relationship that we have built and maintained together. As Fire Chief, I've had the privilege of working directly with 4 different presidents of the Toronto Professional Firefighters Association, and I don't believe there's a better model of open and transparent labor relations collaboration anywhere. In our service, we share information openly, we solve problems together, we set strategy and make decisions together, and when disagreement is necessary, we disagree respectfully and productively. To President James Reed, former Presidents Kennedy, Ramaniano, McCarthy, and to the entire Toronto Professional Firefighters Association team, many of whom are here today, and that means a lot to me, so thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership, your support, your dedication, and most importantly, for your friendship. Since 2016, our Toronto Fire Services team has achieved nearly 40% self-reported diversity in recruitment, setting a course for the future that is increasingly diverse, inclusive, welcoming, and one where Toronto Fire Services increasingly reflects the communities we serve each day. We now have dedicated staff teams, including an amazing Positive Space Committee and an extraordinary Toronto Fire Services Black Staff Network, to name but a few, who work with our command team each day to inform a better and more inclusive future. Since Council approved the addition of a full-time Toronto Fire Services staff psychologist 2 years ago, the number of WSIB claims being filed for occupational stress injury and post-traumatic stress injury by Toronto firefighters have been reduced by more than 60%. These amazing things only happen when the Association, the Office of the Fire Chief, and the Toronto Fire Services Command Team work together in collaboration. In Toronto, we do, and people are better off as a result. In my role as fire chief, one thing has remained constant. I've never known what any given day will bring, nor how any day will play out. In March of 2020, I was asked to serve as the city's COVID-19 incident commander, working alongside Mayor and Council, the city's senior and corporate leadership teams, and our incredible medical officer of health, Dr. Eileen Davila, who is here today as well, affectionately known by me as Doc. She's Doc. Over the course of my 25-month assignment in that role, I had the privilege of seeing the entire Toronto Public Service team step up, respond, and make above and beyond seem normal. That's what I've come to respect about the public service. There is a common sense of purpose and meaning that emerges when people need us the most. My City of Toronto colleagues showed the world what dedication and caring look like under pressure. I would be remiss if I did not extend a special thank you to Dr. Davila, aka the Doc. For me, Dr. Davila started out as the medical officer of health, whom I didn't know very well, but ended up as my implicitly trusted and respected colleague and friend. You represent the very best that all the public service is, Doc. I don't get emotional here. Perhaps above all else, successfully meeting the demands of the Toronto Fire Chief role requires the support, understanding, and grace, frankly, of your spouse and family. I'm joined here today by my wife, Catherine, who is the reason that I have been able to meet the demands of the Toronto Fire Chief role for the past 8.5 years. The number of times I have left home in the middle of the night, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, make that somehow seem normal. Never-ending evening and weekend public events, late nights, early mornings, constantly ringing phones and text messages, interrupted meals and social events, and a life simply defined as unpredictable is what Catherine has endured. Yet the support, understanding, and grace that I've received from Catherine throughout my tenure as fire chief has been both unwavering and limitless. All that Catherine endured because of my duties as fire chief, and even more so as the COVID-19 incident commander, has simply been unfair, and more than she ever voluntarily signed up for. Admittedly, I will never stop wishing I could somehow change that. But that isn't a reality for the Toronto Fire Chief, and I owe Catherine a debt of gratitude that is beyond what I can even explain, let alone attempt to repay. Thank you will never be enough, but at least for now, thank you. I'm also very honored to have my brother John Pegg, who you know serves as Ontario's Fire Marshal, which as an aside makes for some very interesting discussions at Christmas dinner from time to time. He at times has been misguided and thinks that he's my boss, and I just flatly, vehemently reject that. John is here today. His wife Amanda is here in chambers as well. It means a lot to me that you both have taken the time out of very busy schedules to be here, and I thank you for that. Likewise, I have many friends, colleagues, and teammates here this morning, and I'm touched by that also. Thank you so very much. Mayor Chow and members of council, it has been nothing less than an honor and privilege to have served the last 11 years of my fire service career here in Toronto and the last 8 and a little bit as your fire chief. Thank you for your unwavering trust and confidence, and for providing me the opportunity to be the face and voice of calm against a backdrop of fear and anxiety as emergencies happen in our city. Wearing this uniform and representing the more than 3,300 members of Toronto Fire Services each day has been and will forever be the honor of a lifetime. So in closing, may I simply say this: thank you, Toronto, from the very bottom of my heart.
Councillor Bravo.
Thank you. On a point of privilege, as Economic and Community Development Committee Chair, I feel it's incumbent on me to just add my thanks and our congratulations and our recognition for Chief Matthew Pegg. Thank you for leading Toronto Fire Service. Of course, when the public and councillors interact with first responders, we're in a time of crisis. It's life-altering, life-threatening. And I want to thank you for leading with heart, with care, compassion, courage, and commitment, as we heard our mayor describe. Frontline servants who are facing constant pressure for leading around naming the mental health pressures. And I just want to thank you from my ward, from the residents of Toronto. You're a crucial piece of keeping us safe, and we always know it. Thanks.
Thank you. Today's special meeting of council is for the following purposes. To consider a report from the North York Community Council from its meeting on August 20th, 2024. To consider urgent heritage and planning matters. To consider new business from the city officials that, in the opinion of the mayor and the clerk, met the definition of urgent as defined in section 27.1 of the council procedures. And to introduce urgent bills and confirming bills for this special meeting. Members of council, this is a special council meeting. Under council's procedures, no new business items such as motions without notice may be introduced. This rule cannot be waived. I will now call upon Councillor Chang to introduce the North York Community Council report. You may speak up on the report for 5 minutes. Councillor Chang.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Both items that were discussed at the North York Council meeting in August are being held, and we will have further discussion on the 2 items. But I want to thank my fellow members who met in the middle of summer, and I was told that the planner, Guy Matthews, will give hugs to all the councillors for the summer that they had to sacrifice for the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Pardon? Oh, Councillor Chang, sorry. Read the motion that's on the screen.
Sure. That the report from meeting 16 of the North York Community Council listed on the agenda of council be presented for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to introduce the new business from city officials? Councillor Thompson, would you like to move that one, please?
Sure. Just waiting for it to come on the screen. I don't have my computer up. Okay. That new business from city officials listed on the agenda of council be presented for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Opposed, if any, carried. Are there any declarations of interest at this time? Please indicate the item number and the nature of the interest. And remember that you must also file a written declaration of your interest with the city clerk. I will now call for petitions. Are there any petitions at this time? No. Members, I will now review the order paper. The city clerk has posted today's order paper online with agenda item RM 21.6, review of the order paper. We have one deferred item today, DM 21.1, deferred from the July 24th and 25th meeting of City Council. We have 10 items before us today, 2 from the North York Community Council and 8 items of new business submitted by city officials. The city clerk has noted the items that members wish to hold, and I will now go through the items to take additional member holds. All held items will be considered in agenda order. Okay, are there any items under new business? Okay, Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to hold item CC 21.4, 4195 Dundas Street West.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any? No others? Okay. All those, All those in favor of adopting the balance of the order paper as amended and all items not held, please raise your hands. All in favor? Opposed, if any, carried. Thank you. Members, I want to remind you that regardless of whether you are attending today's meeting by video conference or in person, you will continue to submit and approve your motions in advance. The clerk staff are available to assist you with motions. If you do not have your motion ready, I will not recognize you. I'm also reminding members that you must state your motion first before you speak to it. We will now proceed to the consideration of our first item, which is DM 21.1. And also, I just want to mention the city clerk has advised me that additional materials are now available for members' review in the clerk's meeting portal. DM 21.1, 2500 Don Mills Road, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment, Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, request for directions. Councillor Carroll has advanced circulated a motion with a confidential attachment. CC 21.3, 70 to 86 Lynn William Street, zoning bylaw amendment application, Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, request for directions. Deputy Mayor Malik has advanced circulated a motion with a confidential attachment. So we will now go to DM 21.1. Are there any questions? Okay, Councillor Carroll, did you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Just briefly, the motion that I made, this is a confidential set of settlement directions, and so the motion too is confidential. And what I advanced circulated, because I'm hoping not to have to go into camera on this meeting. I'm hoping people have had a chance to look at it, but if I could just briefly summarize. Basically, I deferred this item last month only because a key component of what was the context plan for this area, this particular quadrant at Don Mills and Shepherd, was somehow overlooked in being included in the terms of the settlement that are confidential. And so I had to jump in and really represent the community to make sure that got incorporated in. So it's a very legalese language motion, but suffice it to say, this really serves the community's vision for this context plan area and this development's contribution to it. And it was very complex to do. And so the only other thing I want to say, Madam Speaker, is that with a very short turnaround and in the middle of summer, I owe a great debt of gratitude for the cooperation and collaboration between our North York planners, Parks, Forestry and Recreation, the lawyer for our community planning area, and also the applicant, because they really all got together to solve the complexity to make this possible. And with that, I'm hoping that without going into camera, we can adopt the motion I've added in the staff directions now.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have the amendment on the screen. On favor, show of hands, opposed if any, carried. Item is amended. On favor, carried. Thank you. Our next item is NY 16.1, which is 6125 Yonge Street. Official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. Councillor Cheng, held the item down. Do we have questions to staff? Are there any questions to staff on this
There's still
item?
motions being worked on. Can we bump this down to the last part? Because they're still working on the motions.
Or you're still working on motion?
Yeah.
But do members of council have any questions to staff on this item? And what about your next item, NY 16.2, 6355 Yonge Street? Pardon?
Staff are also working on motions. We met with the developers this morning. This is a very difficult.
So you want to hold it down?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Okay, our next one is CC 21.2, 86 Lynn William Street. Deputy Mayor Malik, you have the item down. Do we have any questions to staff on that item? Any questions? Okay, Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak?
Yes, on this item, I'm happy for this to proceed and for us to vote on it. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm happy for this to proceed. There's nothing more for me to say on the item. Sorry?
You just want to move the item?
Yes,
okay.
just move the item. Thank you.
So on the item, a recorded vote? No? Okay. On favor, show of hands, opposed if any, carried. Okay, before we continue, the City Clerk has also advised me that additional materials are now available for members' review in the Clerk's meeting portal. CC 21.4, 4195 Dundas Street West, and 556, 558, 560, 62, 64 Prince Edward Drive North, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications, Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, request for directions. Councillor Morley has advanced circulated a motion with a confidential attachment. Okay, so we'll go to our next item, which is, no, it's, I think the next one she wants. Item CC 21.3, 70 to 86 Lynn William Street, zoning bylaw amendment application. Deputy Mayor Malik, do we have any questions to staff on the item? Okay, Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you very much. As was mentioned by the Speaker, I've advanced circulated an amendment to the confidential recommendations, and hopefully members of Council have been able to look at it this morning, and I'm happy to move the item, move the amendments to the item.
Is it this one that you want a recorded vote? Okay,
I'd like a recorded vote on the amendment and on the item as a whole, please.
Okay. Recorded vote on the amendment by Deputy Mayor Malik. Recorded.
Councillor Perks, your vote, please.
Fruits and tea.
Councillor Cole, please.
Fruits and
Councillor Fletcher,
favor.
how do you vote, please? Councillor Perruzza, how do you vote, please?
In favor.
And Councillor Myers, how do you vote?
In favor.
In favor, thank you. Councillor Burnside, please. How do you, in favor? Thank you. Speaker, the amendment, I should say, is adopted unanimously, 23 in favor.
Okay. Item is amended, recorded. Oh, okay. Okay. Item is amended, recorded vote.
Councillor Burnside, how do you vote, please? Councillor Myers, how do you vote, please?
In favor?
Councillor Perruzza, how do you vote, please?
In favor?
Councillor Myers, in favor, thank you. Councillor Fletcher? The item is amended, carries. The vote is 21-2.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is CC 21.4, 4195 Dundas Street West and 556, 58, 60, 62, and 64 Prince Edward Drive. Councillor Morley, you held the item down. Do we have any questions to staff? Councillor Morley?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was able to get my questions answered offline with staff, so no need for questions. I do have a motion that was advance circulated. I hope my colleagues had a chance to take a look. Portions of it are confidential, so if you haven't had a chance, please take a look. But this has been a long process, and we're looking forward to providing direction with staff to get to the conclusion of it.
Okay.
So there's my motion on the screen. Includes to adopt the confidential instructions to staff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, the amendment is on the screen. Oh, sorry, Councillor Holyday, did you want to speak? Councillor Holyday.
Only very quickly, because this application borders Ward 2. I would only just say and acknowledge the hard work by city planning, the applicant, and the office of the councillor. And I would just like to ask for a recorded vote once the item is amended. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so on the amendment, on favor, opposed, carried. Item is amended, recorded vote.
Councillor Sachs, please. Councillor Bravo, please. Councillor Bravo, your vote, please. Councillor Perruzza, how do you vote?
In favor?
Councillor Myers, please.
Favor.
Councillor Burnside, please. And Councillor Fletcher. The item is amended, carries. The vote is 22-1.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is CC 21.5, 155 St. Denis Drive. Councillor Sachs held the item down. Do we have any questions to staff? Any questions to staff? Okay, Councillor Sachs, you held the item down.
I've been working with staff intensively over the last few days. My questions have been answered. I'm prepared to release my hold.
Okay. So Councillor Sachs. Councillor Burnside, did you want to speak on this item?
No, thanks. I just want to move.
Okay. Okay, so Councillor Sachs has released the item. On favor? Oh, sorry. Oh, Councillor Burnside, do you have a motion? Okay.
Sorry.
Pardon? You're moving the supplementary report? Okay, it's on the screen. The amendment. On favor, show of hands, opposed if any, carried. Item is amended, on favor, carried. All right. So Councillor Cheng, we're back to your 2 items. Those are the last 2 items. So are you ready? Did you have any questions?
I'm sorry, I'm going to need 2 more
Okay,
minutes.
just 1 sec. They're just reviewing the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Cheng, since you're not ready for item 1, let's go to item 2. Councillor Cheng?
Sure.
6355 Yonge Street.
I have a motion.
Okay, the motion's on the screen.
This is to work with the landowner to make their best effort for a parkland dedication,
Okay.
as well as for affordable housing.
All right. Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. On the amendment, on favor, show of hands, opposed if any, carried. Item is amended, on favor, carried. All right, so we're ready. NY 16.1, Councillor Cheng.
Thank you for everyone's patience. This is a motion also to make our best effort to secure off-site parkland dedication. Thank you.
On the amendment, on favor, show of hands, opposed if any, carried. Item is amended, on favor, carried. That completes our agenda. This is fast. Maybe we could do this every month, no? So may I have a motion regarding absentees? Mayor Chow?
That the City Council excuse the absence of Councillor James Pasnick from September 5th, 2024 special meeting of the City Council.
Thank you. On favor? Carried. Members, before I ask for motion to enact the general bills, may I have a motion regarding the consideration of submissions on zoning bylaw and official plan amendments moved by Councillor Moyes? Moyes, would you like to do that? Oh, Councillor Perks, did you want to do it? Okay, Councillor Perks, you do it. Okay.
Speaker, I move that the committee and council considered submissions in making a decision on zoning bylaw and official plan amendments.
On favor? Opposed, if any, carried. May I have a motion to introduce the general bills? Councillor McKelvey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That leave be granted to introduce bills 865 to 871.
Shall leave be granted to introduce these bills? All in favor? Show of hands. Carried. Shall these bills be declared as bylaws and passed subject to Section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006? All in favor? Carried. May I have a motion to introduce the confirmatory bills? Who wants to do that? Councillor Fletcher, do you want to do that? You don't want to do it? Councillor Sachs, would you like to do that?
That leave be granted to introduce bills to confirm to the point of the introduction of this motion the extensive proceedings of City Council Meeting 21 on September 5th, 2024.
Shall leave be granted to introduce these bills? All in favor? Opposed, if any, carried. Shall these bills be declared as bylaws and passed subject to Section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006? All in favor? Carried. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, members of council.